This basically confirms it for the Boston Bruins as they have got another terrible loss, this time to the Vegas Golden Knights. Heading in to the Four Nations Cup break, things are going to have to change, and this team has not put themselves on the right foot to get a good break here in this season. We're going to be talking about all of this and what is to come for this Boston Bruins team because moves need to be made and moves need to be made fast. So we're going to be talking about all of that here in this video. Before we get into it, though, we know that 70% of you guys watching right now are not subscribed to the channel. If you're looking for a spot to get all of your Boston Bruins news, you're in the right spot. Hit the sub button. Join us here on the channel. We're covering everything Boston Bruins. We got a lot of stuff to cover here for this season. And, obviously, not the season we've always wanted to see, but things have to change, and things have to change now. I want to pull up first just a little hockey stat card to kind of get a sense of what we're looking at right now. Of course, this game to the Vegas Golden Knights, another 3-1 lead, blown away in the third period, coming down, losing this game with a minute and some odd left in the end of the game. Pavel Zacha scoring the goal, but when we're looking at this, once again, the team has to stop letting up last-minute goals in periods. And I do have a screenshot here later to kind of go over that, to kind of cover this, but things have to be done. When we're looking at this lineup here now, Nikita Zadorov, Brad Marchand, Elias Lindholm, some of the guys that we've really seen at the top of this list here for quite some time this season. Some of those times we may see them on the bottom, but for the most part, we're seeing guys like Zadorov start to trend more to the top. Pastrnak, Marchand, Lindholm, Morgan Geeky, Pavel Zacha, most of these guys normally at the top, really being the ones to guide this team to where they want to be. But ultimately, the part that is killing this team are the last-minute goals. The last-minute goals against here in periods when, the stadium PA announcer comes on, 1 minute left in the first, second, third period, whatever. The Bruins think that is the end of the period, and that is frankly not it. That is not the time that you have to stop going, and this is what Nikita Zadorov had to say, and really gives a good insight as to what the Bruins players are thinking right now at this very time, going into this All-Star break or the Four Nations break, and really coming out of it. And he says, it's do or die for us now. We've wasted our last 2 games, our 4 points. It could cost us or could not. We'll see. But this team needs to, get things done. Not just the team, the management. Some trades have to be made. There has to be moves made. And as I mentioned in the last video, Don Sweeney has been really vocalizing that this team is going to wait and see how things play out and whatnot. And yes, of course, you don't want to rush moves. But when you're looking at the teams surrounding you in the standings, they are already considered to be buyers. They've already verbally come out and said they are going to be buyers. The Columbus Blue Jackets, for example, coming out and saying they are going to be buyers. They are ahead of you in the playoff standings at the moment. And if they're going to be buyers, you're going to have to either outbuy them or go and sell. There's no in between. You really cannot risk just partially buying or being a conservative buyer. You either have to do one or the other, and things have to be done right now. But when it comes down to these last-minute goals, there are things that can get changed in that, whether it's a defensive scheme, whether it's, putting a certain line on the ice. Things have to be done because when Ty Anderson put this out yesterday on Twitter, kind of going over the goals allowed for the final 2 minutes of a period against the Boston Bruins this season. This is an absolutely ridiculous list. You cannot have this many goals in the last 2 minutes of a period against. These are goals, these are points, these are opportunities that will kill you in games. And we've seen it the last 2. We've seen it in Vegas. That game yesterday, of course, where the goal disallowed, comes back, they score again, Vegas does, and ultimately win on the game on that one with a completely momentum-shifting period for that Golden Knights team. And it's really what we've been seeing for the past, rest of the games are these goals that are going to be just shifting momentum at the end of a period coming out, and the Bruins don't come out hot next period. And it has been a trend that is not one the Bruins to be happy of, and not one that the Bruins really should be able to, consider anything successful in that game, let alone in that moment. But some players and staff have spoken out about these recent events, and here's what we have Brad Marchand saying last night about this. He says, we can play with anybody. The difference in these games is just a very small margins, small details, so we just need to clean it up a little bit. I think if we can play with anybody, and we've seen pretty much everyone at this point, we have to come back from the break with our right mindset. A few days before our first game, we have to make sure we get back, work hard, get back in shape, and then we need to play do-or-die hockey the rest of the year. Joe Sacco also comes out and saying this here in this one. Our job as staff and the guys in the room is just to keep pushing the way we can and play the best hockey we're capable of playing game in and game out. We're out of the thick of things right now. If you look at the standings, there are 6-7 teams that are at the wild card third spot in the division right now. So that's our focus, and we will continue to be our focus moving forward. Now, both of these quotes here, first of all from Brad Marchand, second of all from Joe Sacco, really have not really indicated anything to me about the team's urgency. Obviously you're saying, yes, we need to get things done right now, but you're in the Four Nations break. These players, these staff members are doing what they can. They cannot be making any of these trades. There's no way that a player, a coach can go out and initiate a trade. That's having to do with the management of this team, Don Sweeney, Cam Neely, who just seem to be coaching for their jobs. They don't seem to be coaching for the Bruins team this year. They seem to be coaching to be able to have their jobs back. And, the way that this season's been going on, of course, we've had some injuries here and there, we've had some moves here and there, but no move has been really evident that will help the Boston Bruins throughout this season, throughout their games that they've been lacking, throughout the stuff that they've really been missing this season. Nothing has been brought to this team to really spark and ignite that, apart from bringing Matthew Poitras up, and realistically, that was just bound to happen at some point. We've seen some of the younger guys come up, get set back down right away, immediately after a game or two, and, not be given that opportunity once again. And it really doesn't make no sense to me, apart from, trying to circulate some guys in and out of this lineup. But I think now, with about 50-plus games into the season, you should easily be able to tell who should be in this lineup and who shouldn't. And the way that things are, kind of playing out, the ways that things are building up to be, the Bruins don't seem to be making any plans going forward. But if this game against the Vegas Golden Knights told us anything heading into this break, is that moves need to be made right now. If they don't, this team could go in a seriously bad direction. But I do have one more quote here from Brad Marchand, which was not from last night, but a couple days ago, really putting into perspective how this Bruins team has been playing. He says, we can't afford to have games like this where we're not prepared. We need every point. And this is from, I believe the Buffalo Sabres game. Correct me if I'm wrong, but the fact that we can have this quote really applied to any game the Bruins have played is something that really puts into perspective of how bad this team has been playing, how bad this team has been, showing out to be, and really just puts into perspective as from a fan standpoint that this team is not at all what we thought it would be, what the team thinks it would be, and whatnot. But let's head on to our next one as well. When we're looking at the current free agents on the offensive side of things, didn't bother putting the defense because apart from Parker Wotherspoon and Mason Lohrei, everybody else is under contract. But when we're looking at this list of UFAs, RFAs right now, Brad Marchand, not Pavel Zacha, Trent Frederic, Morgan Geekie, Oliver Wahlstrom, John Beecher, Cole Koepke, and Justin Brazeau, there are many names that we may see here gone before the trade deadline. And the way the Bruins have been, trying to make it seem like is that they're all considering extensions for all of these guys, even though, a lot of them maybe should be traded. Brad Marchand, I think that's a 50-50 at this point. Obviously, it's very, very tough to trade Brad Marchand. I absolutely love him to stay. Justin Brazeau, I'm a very, very big fan of him. I think he has a lot of potential. Cole Koepke, we saw what he can do at the start of the season. Morgan Geekie's been playing well. Everybody has made a case for a possible extension, but you have to think about the team's future. How much will Trent Frederic really apply to these games coming up next season and whatnot? Obviously, if the season this year is a wash, you have to trade him. There's no way you can justify keeping Trent Frederic at $4 million and extending him. That's just not doable. And this team has some things to think about, some things to make, some challenges to really go out here and fix, because things are not going to fix themselves, and I think that Don Sweeney thinks they will. And it's frustrating. It very, very much is frustrating. I know that watching these games, knowing exactly what could happen and what will likely happen in these games, really just starts to, get annoying at times. And I completely understand that because I'm in the same boat watching this team. But, things are having to be made. Hopefully now, during this Four Nations Cup, even though Don Sweeney won't be taking a break because he's going to be the GM of Team Canada in this Four Nations Cup, he sees some players that will like to be on the Bruins team and hopefully make some trades and hopefully get some trades in mind over this break, because the Bruins are going to need it. But before we finish this one off, a little bit of news here on Matthew Poitras and Michael Callahan. Both have been assigned to Providence during the Four Nations break to get some playing, get some practicing in with the Providence Bruins. A very smart move. I think that there's no way you can't send Matt Poitras down to get him back up, keep him skating. He's been playing well lately, and I think that he can only get better and better and better as time goes on. So some pretty good moves. Other than that, nothing really from the Bruins here after this game. Hopefully we see a big bounce back here, but we're going to have a lot of trade news, especially over this Four Nations break when there's no hockey going on. So if you want to stay up to date with all of that, make sure to hit the sub button, stick around, join me here on the channel. A lot of Bruins news is going to be coming. A lot may not be too exciting, but a lot is going to be very, very, very important for the Boston Bruins, so you will not want to miss it. That's all I got in this video. If you did enjoy, give it a like, hit the sub button as well, and I appreciate you guys making it to this point in the video, but I'm signing out. Thank you for watching. Hope you have a great day. See you later.